heirs. You understand what I'm saying? That is what Paul explained to them Gentiles in Romans. You have been grafted in. You have become a fellow heir with Israel. That is the mystery. And it wasn't that it wasn't written either. And I'm going to show you in a little bit that it was written. But they just didn't understand it. You know, people, they sat down and they read then, and it was recorded, but they didn't understand what they would read. You know, like the Lord even gave Daniel some stuff, and Daniel didn't understand. Daniel said, I heard, but I understood not. Lord said, you just write it down. It ain't for you to understand. Write it. That's what I want you to do. Some other generation going to come along, and they going to understand it. So now this great mystery here, that the mystery was that the Gentiles would be filled in, and it was somewhat of a mystery. That's why when Peter came to Cornelius, he told him it is not lawful for a man of a Jew to come in and talk to one of another nation. But God has shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean. And now I understand that God is not a respecter of person, but he that feareth God and worketh righteousness is accepted among. So it was a mystery then, wasn't it? Yes. But it was not because it wasn't written, and I'm going to show you it was written. Go ahead, what verse are we?
Starting 7.
Go ahead and read.
Whereof I was made a minister according to the gift of the grace of God.
See, whereof I was made a minister according to the gift of the grace of God. Go ahead and read on.
Given unto me by the effectual working of his power. Unto me, who am less than the least of all saints, is the grace given that I should preach among the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ.
He said this grace that was given to me, that I should preach among the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ. Go ahead and read on.
9. And to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery.
And make all men see what is the fellowship of this mystery. Go ahead and read on.
Which from the beginning of the world hath been hid in God.
He said from the beginning of the world it was hid in God. Go ahead and read on.
Who created all things by Jesus Christ.
Now, let's go to Romans chapter 16. And I'm going to show you it was written. But they just didn't understand it. But it was written. You know, he ain't come up with this revelation because God just popped some, you know, that had never been, nobody else never knew about, had not been even written down. I'm going to show you. Let's go to Romans chapter 16. Romans chapter 16. And we're going to start reading at verse 25. Romans 16. And we began at verse 25. 16 and 25. 16 and 25. So now, Gentiles, they're going to be fellow heirs with Israel. In other words, whatever Israel inherit, that's what they're going to inherit. You know, God had made the church one. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't have a Gentile church over here and an Israelite church over there. They have become one now. And they all come under the banner, really, of Israel. Because Israel is the church. You have been now made a part of the household of Israel. Start reading at Romans 16 and began at verse 25. Go ahead and read.
Now, to him that is of power, to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ.
He said, according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ. Go ahead.
According to the revelation of the mystery.
According to the revelation of the ministry. Go ahead, of the mystery, rather. Go ahead and read.
Which was kept secret since the world began.
That was kept secret since the world began. Not that it wasn't written, but they just didn't understand it. Go ahead and read on.
But now is made manifest, and by the scriptures of the prophets.
And now is made manifest. By what? By the scriptures of the prophets. Go ahead and read.
According to the commandment of the everlasting God, made known to all nations from the obedience of faith.
But he said now it has been made manifest, made known by the scripture of the prophets. Let's go and read some of it. Let's go to Genesis chapter 12. And we began reading at verse 1. The thing was made manifest. It was there. They didn't understand it, but it was there. Then they came along and they started to understand it. Because everything that they understood, They got it out of the scriptures and the prophets. Paul even told you that, didn't he? Let's go to Genesis chapter 12. And we'll begin reading at verse 1. Genesis chapter 12. And we'll start reading at verse 1. 12 and 1. 12 and 1. Okay, go ahead and read.
Now the Lord has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee.
Go ahead.
And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed.
See what he told? All families. That's everybody, isn't it? That's Jews, that's Gentiles, that's Hamites, that's everybody. In you, Abraham, all families of the earth would be blessed. You know, I'm sure they read this, but they didn't understand where this was going. You understand what I'm saying? And if you did not have the testimony of Jesus, you wouldn't know where it was going. But now we got the testimony of Jesus, which is the spirit of prophecy. So we can understand the thing that they wrote about and that they even read, but didn't understand what they was reading. Let's go now to Genesis chapter 22 and show you what else he said to Abraham. Genesis chapter 22, and we'll begin reading at verse 15. Genesis chapter 22, and we'll begin at verse 15. 22 and 15. 22 and 15. You know, they done read that in Abraham, all families of the earth going to be blessed, but it ain't registering because you ain't got enough to go with it. You don't know how that's going to come about. But the Lord had it written. He had it written by the prophets. But then they finally understood what the prophets had wrote, and I'm going to show you they finally understood what the prophets had wrote. Let's start reading at verse 15. Go ahead and read.
And the angel of the Lord called unto Abram out of heaven a second time and said, By myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son.
So now he done told Abraham to go and kill Isaac. And Abraham was getting ready to kill him. And so now he said, now because you have not, Abraham, withheld your son, your only son. This is pointing to something bigger too. But we ain't going to get into that part of it today. But go ahead and read on.
That in blessing I will bless thee.
Now Abraham, in blessing I will bless you. Go ahead and read.
And in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed.
Wait a minute, he said, Abraham, in your seed will all nations of the earth be blessed. That's everybody, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
In your seed will all nations of the earth be blessed. Who is this seed? You said Jesus. How you know? How you know this is Jesus? You didn't read it here. No. You know how you gonna know? You gotta have a testimony. That's how you gonna know. Now he said, in your seed will all nations of the earth be blessed. So it was written here. But when they read it, they didn't understand what they would read. All they knew is that Abraham, the Lord said to Abraham, he said, Abraham, in your seed will all nations of the earth be blessed. Didn't understand what the blessing was. Didn't understand how the blessing going to come about. All they was able to read is that Abraham, in your seed will all nations of the earth be blessed. Go ahead and read some more.
Because thou hast obeyed my voice.
And the reason it's going to happen, Abraham, is because you have obeyed my voice. I made the covenant with you. You didn't break the covenant. Therefore, the covenant is etched in stone. Let's go now and understand who this is. Let's go to Galatians chapter 3. And we'll begin reading at verse 6. Galatians chapter 3. And we're going to pick it up at verse 6. Galatians 3 and 6. This is Paul. And he said, now I understand the mystery. And what was the mystery? He said that the Gentile should be fellow heirs with Israel. Galatians chapter 3. And we'll begin reading at verse 6. Galatians 3. And we're going to pick it up at verse 6. 3 and 6. Okay, go ahead and read.
Even as Abraham believed God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Know ye therefore